live, and then by the time we do it, it will be.
Have you sussed out who that is, Matt?
Well, not really. We think it's a cross between not an expert, well, it's not an expert. It's one dude and another dude, isn't it?
Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Flooring Model Live Thursday show. Here we are with you on the 13th of May 2021. And a warm welcome to everyone apart from Nathan. Yes, we've got the ABC crew in tonight because Nathan's off. So obviously we were going to drag John in and then Matt was here. So we thought we'd just have a casual one with everybody instead. So yes, Nathan's doing family things, bless him. He's escaped, in other words. Anyway, we trust you're all doing very well. Put the chat up, I suppose.
Yes, thank you. I'm very well.
Good.
Can you hear me from there?
Yeah, no, we can hear you. Matt, this evening will be doing a masterclass in painting eyes.
Well, it might be. It might be cross-eyed.
Who is he again? Have we got a camera for you? We have. Go on, hold him up to the camera, look, because we can see him there.
It's Rommel.
It's who?
It might as well be. There you go.
We were trying to sort out who it was the other night, weren't we?
Is that bloke from A Bridge Too Far?
It's supposed to be, but we've worked out it looks nothing like him.
Right.
So this is supposed to be Colonel John Frost from A Bridge Too Far, but we've worked out it looks more like either Boy Browning or somebody called, what was his name? Shan Summit, wasn't it? Who's, I'll tell you, hold on, I had it on my Google. If you look at the photos, let me just put my thing on because I had him the other day on, I was Googling him. Shan Hackett.
Right.
And if you look at John Hackett, he's a British Army officer who was actually part of, but he was not to do with the Paras. He was, what was he? The 8th King's Royal Irish Hussars.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if somebody who actually sculpted this got a bit muddled up with who they were doing, but yeah.
Fair play.
It's the nose, isn't it? The nose is completely wrong.
Yeah, and the face is a bit thin to be actually who it was supposed to be, as in John Frost.
Right.
So, yes, but anyway, I'm going to paint him up anyway. So it's a bit of a fun exercise. And then the busty wench is coming along as well.
So we've got a bust of a bust. Is that the one you were doing like 4 years ago with the fairy?
Yeah, it was.
It's taking you this long to do her cleavage?
Well, you know. What can I say? I've painted this about 5 times because I can't get the skin tones right for a female. It's really hard to do because you have to do blending and proper. I'm happy with it now, to be honest. I've got to finish off obviously chest area and her arm and the rest of it, but yeah, and her eyes obviously because she's a bit, evil looking.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been practicing really.
She has a little fairy in her hand. The guys are saying, what's in her hand? Just a little fairy in it.
The fairy is gone. It was rubbish. It weren't very good. I'm going to think of something else. It might be a crystal ball or something. Yeah, I don't know.
A marble or something, or a small.
That's what I did think of. Yeah, or a bead or something.
Or a Malteser.
But I've started a video build of this.
Oh, cool.
Today, to go along with the lank. I was doing it. Just thought I'd start it, so people's been, they have asked. So basically,
is that the one you were gifted?
Yes. So I thought, well, it's only right that I do. I did say I'd do it, so I've been started on this as well. So I've got a few on the go. And actually, do you know what? I don't know if you can see. It's actually not too bad for a styrene figure. His face details are all right. Needs a bit of filling and clean up work because of how it's joined together. It's got a seam straight down his trousers. I don't know if you can probably see it. Can you see it on cam? That's ziggy-zaggy seam.
Yeah.
And they're not brilliant even with a clean up. So I'm going to get a bit of filler in that, and then he's, that's 2 halves joined together. Yeah, I'm getting together. So I look forward to doing that, to be honest.
Very nice.
And there you go. So I've got at least I've only got a little bit of a camouflage arm to paint.
Yeah, that's it.
So under his smock.
Very good.
Yeah.
Because the band asked, what manufacturer is that?
Dragon.
That's a Dragon.
It's a 1/16th Dragon kit, which we've got in store. Actually, we had them in. They discontinued them. They didn't have them back in God knows when, late 90s, 2000s. But I think they've started to issue a few. So yes,
cool,
so
very good, very nice.
Job.
And Andy, go on then, show us how far you've got with it. What have you done this time?
I've done nothing really. It's about a week, or maybe even longer. It's just still. I've put a wash on the skis on the bottom, but I can't talk about the wash, so I won't. But
how did it work?
Yeah, right. Actually, not too bad.
Not good though, is it?
It's pretty much a matte coat on it, so yeah, I expected it to stick and it stuck. So yeah, it's all right. It's not too bad.
Very nice. Cool.
I just need to get stuck into it, get it finished, because it's not far off, and
yes,
I keep messing around.
Need to push through.
Yeah,
definitely.
He's distracted, I'll tell you.
This is true. He is. Very good. And John, what are you building at the moment? How far is it? Come on, show us it. Get it up.
It's pardon.
Well, it's big enough.
It's over in the spray bay. It's all ready for a primer, really. But this week I've been.
You really do sound like this week. I have mostly been
doing F4.
Detailing up
the gear.
The gear with photo etch and a bit of wiring, and boy, did my eyes hurt after this. But it's basically all ready for paint. So next time I'm on, it'll have some primer on it and a bit of colour, hopefully.
Very good.
So you are pushing through it then, because the other night you were thinking of.
I am, but the other night I was saying to the lads that I didn't know whether I'd get it finished in time. But I'm not going to rush it, if you know what I mean. If it's done for the end of the group build, it's done. But if not, I'm not going to try and rush it to get it finished.
No.
Because I put a lot of effort in it, and I don't want to sort of ruin it right at the end. So I didn't intend it to be as big a build as what it's turned out. It's just I've got a bit carried away with it.
You got a bit carried away with all the aftermarket stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, and scratch building and God knows what else. But I've enjoyed it. That's the main thing.
Yes. Cool. Very good. Excellent. And as for me, I've been pushing on with this little lump, who's technically all ready for primer. I've got to mask it up and everything. But look, wiggly, flappy thing. You just love the way that this all works, and it's all, all this stuff. So yes, she's literally done. I've just painted these bits. These are actually a loose fit under here. I've literally just tacked them into place. Used a mask set clearly, because there's no way I was going to mess around with this one. So all of these are literally a little loose fits in there. But we are technically all ready for tomorrow to get this into primer. And then we'll be making our way through. We've done the gear and all the rest of it. You've seen already. We've done all the engine. The engine work's all done. As I say, we've got the gear all done here. Just needs to be painted, that one. We've got the spinners and the props and all the rest of it. They're all done. All the parts. So we've got the wing fold sets. Absolutely everything. So the light is definitely the end of the tunnel with this one. So say primer coat, I think, in the morning. And if I get time, I'll get the actual camo one onto this one. And then next week, we'll just be going through the motions of all the glorious weathering and everything that's going to go into it. So yeah, very, very nice. Typical Tamiya. It's one of those things I said to the guys just before we sort of came on air, that it's lovely Tamiya because it's sometimes it shouldn't work, but it does, a bit like all the working stuff, and a bit like these flaps are literally just held on with a couple of bits of photo etch, and it shouldn't really work, but they do. And they just fit beautifully. Everything works. So good old job. And you sort of, you've got all these replacement bits to have wings folded on these, and it's all held in with poly caps and all this nice stuff.
I thought they were foldable. I didn't realise they were.
No, you get two.
Yeah, they're separate parts. I thought you got
take them out and do it. And they're on poly caps as well. It's like a poly cap system down in these. You've got little holes down in there. And they've got poly caps in them as well, which grip it and all the rest of it. So yes, no, it is. It's very, very nice. We're all definitely, the light is at the end of the tunnel with this one. We shouldn't be too far along at all. So again, it'll be one of those things depending on which way we're going to be displaying it and going through. So I think I'm probably going to have it on the ground. We won't do it in flight, and then that way we can have the engine shown, because there's a lot of obviously detail gone into the engine where we've added all the wiring and whatnot. So we're going to use that, have probably the cowls off and all the rest of it to see it. But again, this thing, great little touch. It's properly on here. Like, this doesn't come apart, you know, but it's actually, it's not magnets or anything. It's just the way that the key these tabs pull into. And there's tiny little notch, I don't know if you can quite see it there, but there's a tiny little notches in these. So it actually locks in. So you sort of, you put one half in and one the other, and then it locks in. And again, it's such a beautiful fit. It's amazing, really. They can do it so well. So it still never ceases to amaze me when you work with Tamiya of exactly how good it is. You know, it's very easy to think, oh, it's expensive kit and everything else. But when you work on them like that, you suddenly realise why it probably is that money, you know, at the end of the day. Because they tend to be a little bit more expensive than everybody else's. But yes.
Neil says you're going to use chipping fluid on the Zero.
No, because it's not going to be a chippy one.
Yeah, you don't see many chipped up, battered.
No, not this type. The ones which were land-based tended to be the chipped up, battered ones, wasn't it? Rather than the Navy ones. So, yeah, that's the thing. I think, you know, obviously they did have a bit of weathering, but not as much. Most of the naval stuff, they would have been on top of it and kept them all clean. So, yes, that's the thing with that.
Just talking about chipped up and battered.
Mm-hmm.
The Hell Divers are due in tomorrow.
Yes.
So people will be, I'll start invoicing people tomorrow for them.
Yep, we will do. We'll get on it like Sonic. Right, okay, so we've got quite a packed show tonight because we've got millions of questions. So if we just have a quick look at this week's work that, to be honest, John's picked out this week.
He's been very good.
He has. He's been very good. He's done his own work this week. So starting off, we've got Ross, and he's done the Das Works 35th scale Panther, an A early. Very nice.
Very nice.
Indeed, isn't it? That's nice, that.
Yes, he's done a nice job on the paintwork, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That's the original Tackham kit, isn't it?
No, this is the Das Works one.
Yeah, is that their own, or is that Tackham's kit? Without the interior?
Oh, I don't know.
Good point, yeah. Could be, couldn't it?
Mm.
I think it's Tackham's kit.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, yes, good job. But no, I like that one. It's say the weathering's really well with the Zimmerit and with the camo and all the rest of it. That's what we call a perfect in scale. It's all nicely weathered together as an overall presentation. Very nice.
It is a Tackham kit, yeah.
Yeah. So we like a bit of Tackham. Good job on that, though. Like it a lot. Yeah. Very, very nice indeed. Good job. Then we've got this is the AMP Shoskorsky S51.
That's rather nice as well, isn't it?
It is.
I've seen that earlier week. I tell you what, it's not an easy build either. He's done a cracking job of that. It's metal as well. If you actually look at the build thread on it, it's a bit of a handful, shall we say?
Yes.
But yeah, it's cracking, that is.
The pioneers of helicopter flight.
Yeah,
One of the ones Matt told me to have a look at the build the other day, didn't you?
I did spot it. I thought, yeah, it's come out really, really nice.
It is very, very nice indeed. But lovely with the metal finish.
Yes.
Good job on that with the weathering onto the metal finish. It's not easy when you're doing that. And as I say, it's not an easy kit to go together. But actually turned out very, very nice indeed.
A lot of sanding and rescribing as well, so he's done a good...
Yeah, a lot of work on that. So yes, good job indeed. So well done. That's beautiful work. And next up, we've got Stuart, and he's done the 1 to 350 scale German Z30. How do you pronounce that? Zerstora?
Zerstora, isn't it?
Is it Zerstora?
I think so. Probably not, but hey, we'll call it that.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
Really, very, very nice. Again, lovely weathering right the way through. It's got that nice sit to it. It feels weighted. And nice work with the rigging work as well. All the little bits and pieces onto this. As I say, it's a class on its own doing ships, especially the smaller scales. I think doing smaller scale ships is harder in some ways than doing the big scale stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
ships generally hard.
Beautiful work. Very, very nice indeed. Great work there. Next up, we've got, this is Chris, and he's done the 48 scale Tamiya ME262. Very nice indeed.
Yeah, Nathan spotted this one first, but
You did, yeah.
Cool.
Really nice weathering on it, isn't it?
It is
Yeah.
really nice. Very nice indeed.
Well, I think he said that's the first time he's attempted that sort of mottling scheme as well.
Well, definitely worked. Looks great. Very, very nice as well. And I say the nice chipping and the weathering on it and all the rest of it as well gives it that nice weighted look with the sort of, the grime and that. As I say, early jet engines were a bit messy, so they did weather up.
And they didn't really have the resources to keep them clean and what we did there, so they did get battered and popped.
Tell you what, that's a nice kit, that Tamiya 262 as well.
Yeah.
And that's the one where you get the weighted nose that fits.
Yes, you do. You get
Yeah.
it's designed for the front, isn't it?
Yeah. Andy should have built one of them.
See, there's what two guys are doing the hobby possible.
Again, very, very nice job. Good job. Love it. Beautiful detail. Cool. Very good.
Again, the hobby one, boss one isn't bad. It's just if you try and close it all up, which I wanted to, and it just didn't. It's not designed to be closed up. Got to have the engine, the bits open. Yeah, very nice. Those.
Okay, next up we've got James, and he's done, this is the Great Wall Hobbies 148 scale. This is the Ram F-15I Israeli.
Cool.
Very nice. Nice in-flight pose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That does look good. Nice base.
Again, the Eagle as well. I think it's one of those aircraft that looks so much better in flight than it does on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not nice on the ground, but in flight it looks like it should do then. So again, nice work on that.
You can't go wrong with the Israeli colours, can you? Either it's like just
Yeah.
the boring greys and
Yeah, absolutely. I must admit, I love the Israeli scheme. It's absolutely beautiful colours on that. And again, you can weather them. You don't have to weather them. There's no right or wrong with those. They all look great no matter what you do to them.
yeah.
But no, very, very nice job on those ones. Well done, everybody. Some great work down in there. Okay, so if we jump straight over into questions, as the boys are busy doing their thing, I will then stick the camera to us and I'll read them off the side. Okay, so we have in one, we've got Matthew says, hello Phil and team, I'm looking to buy a new airbrush compressor as the one I've got is on its way out. I've understood that the Spar Max is good. What would you recommend for a price range of 300 quid? Right, well I've had a quick sneaky peek over at Everything Airbrush because they tend to be sort of, decent on prices and all the rest of it. And again, it's what we keep coming back to at the end of the day. You've got the TC610H, which is the one I recommend to everyone because I just think it's a fantastic bit of kit. And it just works. It just does the job. So, yes, the only thing is, what's the difference in these two?
I think there's one got the cut off if you put your airbrush on the top. On the top, it's got like an airbrush.
Oh, right, yeah. So, yeah, whichever way. So, yes,
it's got the
thing up there.
Yeah, it's got the valve mounted at the top.
Yes. So, yeah, that's the difference. You can either have it up here and there's a little plastic stand where you can put your airbrush in, or you can have it down the bottom. So, if you're using a Mac valve, just go for this one off your bench.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got this one over here. This is the one that I've got running underneath here, which is the twin piston one. Honestly, I still maintain this is a better airbrush. It's no difference in noise or anything else. They're roughly the same. Done them side by side. There's videos on it all over the place where I've done it. And in theory, this thing is off more, if it makes sense, because this thing has got a faster RPM, so it powers up quicker and gets up to pressure. So it's not running as long as this one, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But then, hey, I didn't make it. And he's got this one. He's
and the 610.
And a 610.
I've got the 610, and
Oh, no,
Yeah,
it's still
I've got
mine.
the middle one.
what do you mean still yours?
It's still mine.
It's all right. He's still got mine as well. How comes he's got mine and yours then?
I don't know.
He's got a collection of 610s over there,
He'd
isn't
buy
he?
himself one, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So, yes. But again, would you recommend your Bambi one, Andy?
Considering it's almost twice the price, no, not at all.
No.
I'd go for the TC610.
Yes.
It's a very good compressor. It's I know it says what is in the price range is £300, but it's not worth spending another £100 on something or £200 in the price in the case of the Bambi for anything else. Just get one of them.
Yeah, and don't forget, Sparmax make a lot of other people's airbrush and compressor parts as well. So if you're thinking of anything from, say, Revel, they're all made by Sparmax. So you might as well go direct to them. They're a little bit cheaper and do it like that. But say Matt's been running mine now, and I ran it for 10 years before Matt had it, and it's still fine. I've been running this one now for almost 10 years now, and it's absolutely fine. So I can definitely testify for their build quality and stuff like that, definitely.
They are bomb-proof, aren't they? They're really good.
As long as you keep emptying the tanks out to make sure that you don't have much moisture in the tank, you'll be...
I tell you what, I actually remembered to do this one down here, that Phil's old one. That you ought to see the rubbish that came out of it, shall we say?
It was clean when it left here, my lord.
Of course it was.
I'm sure it was fine.
It is good practice to empty your compressor tanks regularly.
The thing is, don't forget, is that, and it's happened to me before, when I picked up my compressor to move it, it chucks all the water around inside the tank, and then you find your moisture trap starts filling up very rapidly. And if you overdo that moisture trap, it's a nightmare, because I think moisture traps aren't designed to be flooded. They don't like it. They basically stop working. So yes, do your thing once a month and you'll be absolutely fine. I better write that down. I better do that tomorrow. Empty tank.
Reminder this year.
Yes, stick a post-it note on my airbrush. Empty me, for Christ's sake. Okay, Kevin says, hi Phil and team. I was just wondering if you could use Tamiya acrylic varnish over Hataka acrylic paint. Thanks in advance for the great shows. As we've always said, as long as it's totally cured off and dry, yes. You'll be fine. As I say, it's just a big thing. Make sure it's completely gassed off. You will be okay. Nigel says, hi gang, I've just struggled with life colour paints to do the colour scheme on my Anzac SIG Boomerang Fighter. Do not like them at all. Do you know of any other make of paint suitable for World War II Anzac warbirds? Preferably lacquer, but anything other than life colour. Well,
what colour were they painted in?
Yeah, surely they were standard colours, wouldn't it? The World War II Anzac stuff, wasn't it just green over dark sea grey or something?
Well, wasn't it green and
grey
brown?
or something? Green and grey, wouldn't they?
Green and grey or green and brown? I can't remember.
Green and grey, isn't it? Just ocean grey and dark green. I don't know much about the...
Yeah, I thought that's what they all were, but I could be wrong. I must admit, I'm not too up on it. I've got one here somewhere, or did you have that one off of me? That thingy.
Thingy, what?
Yeah, I think you've had it. That C, whatever it was, that was in New Zealand once, was one of the options on it, but I can't see it anymore, so I presume it's gone.
No idea.
Pass. Yes.
Got no idea.
That's not Seafire, the other thing, Firefly, whatever it was. So,
the Firefly.
Do you remember I had it here, but you must have it back, so I can't see it, because I was going to do that actually for the Anzac one.
I think we sold it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one I'm looking at on Wikipedia, it's green and brown.
Oh, right. But it should be a standard colour, isn't it?
Let me share screen a second.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely green and brown, that one.
That's definitely green and brown, yeah. Hold on.
No.
Let me go. Where are you? That one. That's it.
I mean, I don't know what the colours is of the one that he's doing, but...
Surely, the life colour set, it's going to have, like, the numbers on, isn't it? As in, I don't know, thingy, but surely you can just Google and cross-references to other paint manufacturers.
Yeah. I would have thought so.
If, because I do know they do one. I've seen it, because I'm sure it's got a boomerang on the front of the box that it comes in. But I don't know what colours are in it.
Nigel says they're similar to RF colours, but not the same.
That looks very similar, Matt. Do you remember we went to the Fleet Air Arm Museum? We were talking to the curator about the colour of that the Hellcat thing, not Hellcat, the Wildcat, but we call it something else, Marlet or whatever it is.
Oh, the Marlet.
Because it looks like it's been done in Humbrol paint.
Yes.
And he was like, no,
Yeah,
this is the genuine original colour. It was like, it's awful. What theme is that? And he was like, no, honestly, it is. That's the proper colour of what they came out of the factory in. It was like, oh, right, okay. Didn't know that.
That is a strange looking thing.
That just looks wrong on every level. But there you go.
There you go. Chris Hewitt's only 2 hours away from a Boomerang, so he could have a drive out and tell Nigel what colour it is.
He'll come back and say it's green and brown.
It's green and brown. That's what I'm going to put in chat in a minute. Yeah, it's green and brown.
I've been and had a good look, and it's definitely green and brown. Cheers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look, we'll push on. We'll come back to that if we get any more information. Peter says, hi, Phil and team. I have a question about building models in an apartment. Have you ever had to build a model kit in a confined space, like an apartment, before? The reason I am putting this on the forum is because I would like to know if anybody in your team has had to build a model in an apartment before, and what were the good and bad aspects of doing modelling in a confined space like an apartment? No, it doesn't. How does one get away with building models in an apartment without getting either the property manager or the neighbours getting upset with the noise, like from your compressor, or fumes from when you're airbrushing?
Can I just answer this?
Yes.
He's obviously never been to the UK and seen the size of the buildings we live in.
Yes.
In the room I'm in now, I could pretty much touch all four walls with my arms if I tried hard enough.
I'm in an 80-10 shed, if that helps. So
yes.
I'm in a confined space.
I think, yeah, at the end of the day, obviously, compressor vibrations can be mitigated a lot by standing them on things. Like, to be honest, just from my filming point of view, mine is stood on 3 bits of carpet in there. And then I've got some stuff around it as well to keep the sound down a little bit as well. So you can do things like that. Remember, they need airflow around them. So don't put them in an airtight box trying to deaden the sound, because that won't work. But vibrations is what's going to come through. You can get quieter compressors like Andy's. Not that quiet. But they do say they are quiet. They're supposed to be a hum of a fridge. But when we hear Andy's go on, it's definitely not a fridge, or it's a really loud fridge.
A really loud fridge.
So you can do that. As for smells and that, but then you're into that reason why people sometimes use acrylic paint, as in true acrylic paints and not Tamiya's and things like that. If you go for like Life Colour, has no smell whatsoever, I don't think, if I remember rightly, Matt. You spray it a bit, don't you?
Yeah, it's got none.
It has
none
no odour
whatsoever.
at all.
And that Gen 3 stuff from AK hasn't.
I was just about to say, when we were spraying it, one of the big things I mentioned when we did it live on Friday, when I was doing, where is it? Oh, there it is. We were spraying this around. You know, I can honestly testify to it. It was strange because there was no smell. And the weird thing is, because I'm used to spraying lacquers and things, you're used to the smell. So when it wasn't, it seemed odd. So, but yeah, Gen 3s, things like that, absolutely no problem at all with them. So you can stop smells and things. You know, Tamiya glues and stuff, again, if you're in like a ventilated area, so it's obviously going out the window versus anywhere else in your apartment block, out your front door or something, shouldn't really be a problem. So you can keep it down, as in noise, you can keep the smell down quite a bit. And as for working in confined areas, well, as you say, if you'd seen my old studio, that was only 6x8. My little box room at my old house. So same thing, I could do this. My camera on the back, I had to cut the handle off the back of the thing so I could fit it up against the wall. On the tripod, I had to cut the handle off. So if you unscrewed the handle out, it would just fall over. So I had to screw it in tight and then cut the handle off.
In reality, how often do you actually use your compressor during a build of a kit? It's probably only for an hour or two for the whole build, isn't it, really?
Yeah. But the other thing I was thinking is like, when are you actually modelling? 3 in the morning? Because that's probably going to like upset your neighbours. If you're doing it in a reasonable hour, or even on an evening, all right. If you're not banging and cracking, it's not like you're doing DIY, is it? Drilling and hammering.
Yeah.
Obviously, with not knowing how your apartment is and your neighbours are like and everything, it's hard to say for us, but.
And again, fumes, open a window and have a vent out the window and with an extractor, you'll be fine. It shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a noisy.
Yeah, it's not a noisy hobby. It's not like you're playing the drums, is it?
Well, exactly. You know,
Learning the violin could be worse.
People
You want to
could,
tell them that. If they complained about the smell of your glue, I'd say it's either that or the drums.
Make your mind up.
They'll soon buy you a kit then, I would. Okay, Mike says, hello team, how do you approach weathering showbirds such as red arrows, blue angels, etc.? How do you balance bringing out the panel lines and the details against unusual sign usage signs? Thanks for the entertainment. Freedom soon. Good luck. Hopefully. Hello, Mole. Again, I don't weather them. If they're a proper showbird, I don't do it. You know, I've got my red arrow up there. I never weathered it. I just leave them as mint. But again, it depends on the scale you're doing. The bigger scales, you can get away with not weathering them because you get the natural shadows in the panel lines a lot more. But the smaller scales, you might want to put a subtle wash in maybe, just to bring out the panel lines and things like that.
If I was to do it, it'd be a nice gloss coat, and then do, say, a dark dirt wash, but take it all off apart from in the panel lines.
Yeah.
And even try and take
panel line wash,
yeah, literally do it as a gloss panel line wash and do it that way. I certainly wouldn't put them on. But, you know, I've done a few showbirds over the years and the various bits and pieces, and normally I don't actually put any weathering onto them because the reality is they polish them up every time. So, you know. So, yes.
When we went to Oriel Valley, we did see them pulling out a really nice hawk, not a red arrows one, but a black one. Commented how nice it looked in the chat, so it won't be as soon when these guys get hold of it.
Yes. It had just been in for like it's so many 1,000-hour check, isn't it? And they'd stripped it, rebuilt it. It'd been polished and it did look nice. I must admit, we walked out with it, wouldn't it? And it literally was like a mirror, this thing. And yeah, they did say it won't last. Done our bit, they'll wreck it now. But to be honest with you, we got the photos all up there. We got to touch and walk around and do what we like with the red arrows because they were in there as well at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they are not as clean as you think anyway. And I've got that lovely shot of it's a panel line crack in the middle of the nose, literally from the light up to the canopy. And it's like a crack and it's in the paint and all the rest of it. And it's like, there you go. See, they have seam lines in real life. So, you know, it is one of those things. When you're up to things 1-to-1 scale, like everything, they're never as good as they look on, you know, from 20 feet away and all the rest of it. So,
are they orange peeler?
Yes. Yeah, spotted a lot of that on them as well.
Thought they might be somehow.
And to be honest, there's even run marks and drips on them as well. Because while I was looking at the tail planes on the underside, there's actually, you know, little bumps. You run your finger along it, you can feel the little bumps. So,
yeah.
Yes. And Vernon says, hi, Phil and team. I've just ordered a set of masks for spraying the RAF markings on the Battle of Britain era Spitfire, but I'm stumped on the correct colours, particularly for the Randall shades of blue and red. A point in the right direction would be greatly appreciated. Do we work out what they are?
Yeah, well, I'm sure 99.9% of people would just use XF 7 and 8.
Yes.
Because they're not that far off. But off the top of my head, Attacker 276 and 277, it's not off the top of my head, I wrote it down.
Yes.
Are the proper colours in the Attacker range. AK don't do them specifically for them. So yeah, if you want the proper colours, Attacker C276 and 277, or just use XF7 and 8.
Yeah, to be honest, I've used XF7 and 8 many times, and no one's ever spotted it. Especially if you're going to give it a weathering job afterwards.
Yeah, I think the blue's a bit light, isn't it? But
so once you've weathered it in, and to be honest, in real life they lighten up. So
yeah,
you know, it's one of those things. Right, okay, so Bruce says, hi guys, very impressed with the SIG models shown last week. Quite a selection, including several great looking ships. Members obviously have an interest in this area, so might be something for Phil to consider as a future build. I have done one.
Yeah, big one.
Big one. I did an aircraft carrier. The trouble is, it took like 6 months, and that was the trouble. They take a long time to do ships, to do them properly anyway. So that's why we sort of steer away. And in my past life, doing commission work, I've done the entire Tamiya lot, enough for a bloody flotilla of them over the years. So I have done them, and I quite enjoy them. It's just that they are a commitment. It's one of those things where a lot of people say, "Well, just build it out of the box," but then they don't look quite right. As we've seen with obviously the guys, they take the time doing the rigging and the radars and photo etch railings and all things like that. And it's really what makes a model into something literally very, very special. But they really take time. So it's one of those things. I can put an aircraft together, and I always give myself a month on every build. So that's the thing with that one. Needs to be a decent size, say 1 to 350. There you go. But I know this involves a lot of time for the detailing. What about one of the artillery? Yeah, I say we spoke about doing them before, and it is one of those ones where I might do a smaller type boat, as in, what was that one that got released by quite a few different people? It was like jet powered. Then it carries like 10 troops. What was that? That was quite
Swedish.
cool. Yeah, that Swedish one, and the US use it as well, don't they?
Or something.
Sorry, John?
CB90 or something like that.
Yeah, I must admit, I always quite fancied that thing because that's a cool boat. So, yes, but as I say never. But again, it's one of those things where it's slightly out of my comfort zone for doing them, and it's time constraints. It'll be a few months working on that to do it justice. Also, any thoughts on the special hobby 132nd Whirlwind?
Actually, they will be should be in very soon as well.
Yes.
It's released.
Where I might buy one and a Revel ME262 and change the engines, just to see if anyone's noticed.
Well, I'm sure we'll be sending one down for Phil for review. So
yes, definitely. Be nice to see that one. That's a big old lump, that is, or will be. Love the show. Just like the time difference between the UK and Oz. Well, you are the future people. You're like in the future completely. So good morning. Graham says, "Hi guys, Matt. I was watching your build of the Jag, and when it comes to the clear coating, you say to have a mix a little thinner to aid in flow. Is this for all types of clear coat, i.e. gloss, satin and matte? You also sprayed a dust coat and then a couple of wet coats. Again, is there any difference for the finishes?" So I presume he means, would you spray it differently if you're doing flat, satin or glosses?
No, the finger coat's just a gripper coat, as I call it, which then just helps the other coats adhere. That's all the dusty coat was, but it weren't really a dusty coat. I tend to call it a 3/4 coat, which is semi-glossy, especially on a glossy finish. Hold on, let me change the camera so you're talking to my hands.
I've watched quite a few car sprayers on YouTube. That's obviously Matt's ex-profession is a car sprayer, and they all do the same, don't they?
Yeah, of course, it'll just run.
Yeah.
Put a wet coat on, it'll just go and hit the deck. You want a gripper coat, as we used to call it, just for the proper wet coat to adhere to.
Yeah.
And that's especially on gloss coat. So that's depending if you're doing a car full size or 1/24 scale. Same sort of principle. As in for matte coats and satin coats, not really. I don't think. Just lamp it on.
Again, I think the important thing is, as I say, is to have something to your paint to grip to. Because I know a lot of people worry about spraying gloss coats, getting runs, isn't it? But that's what we always say. I call it a dusty coat. But I suppose the correct terminology would be the same. It's a gripper coat. It's got something to actually get hold of. So when you go along with a wet coat, it doesn't just run off. Because if you didn't, it would. You'd end up with drips and runs and all types of problems. Also, I think as well, it depends what you're spraying. If you're spraying acrylic, especially the real acrylics, they tend to be a bit more runny. I think, it's easier to get runs in those. Lacquers tend to stick. The sticky paint, it does. It tends to go on, and I'm amazed. And I suppose because I'm still getting used to doing full glossing, that I don't get runs. But my mind would tell me it should be running now, but it doesn't. I'm amazed it just sort of hangs there like a glossy, wet thing, and it's like I'm waiting for it to suddenly start beading up, but it never does. And I think that's the power of lacquers again over, normal, water-based acrylics and things like that. Not going into 2 packs and all the rest of it. This is just single pack. Like GX11's really sticky paint, I would call it. That GX 100. It's quite thick stuff. It's proper sticky.
Yeah.
You don't get runs with that. You can put it down really thick, and it's absolutely fine with it.
I think when people sometimes when you spray a normal coat, you want like nice low pressure in tight, be careful with it. But when you sort of like doing a gloss coat, it's sort of like a bit of the reverse, isn't it? You want like decent pressure, whack it on, and let the paint do the work for you. Let the top coat do the coat work for you. So let it put plenty on. Obviously not too much so it floods, but let it put plenty on, and it'll eat into itself, grip into itself, and sort of like level itself and get a nice shiny coat. But if you try and be too tidy with it, that's when it starts drying on you, and you sort of like get patches. And
well, that's I think the problem people have is because they're scared to put it on, they don't put it on wet.
Yeah.
You need to put a gloss coat on wet and keep it wet and keep it even and wet, not go from sort of, if you going from one side to another, you've got to follow where you've been around whatever you're spraying, so it's always wet. Obviously, you've always got a start and stop point. You've got to have, and the trick is to really probably start where you're least likely going to see it. Does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You always used to start on a full respray on a sill at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then go round, depending, and do it that way, really, or go from the quarter panel up to the roof, go to the other side of the roof and come down to the quarter and follow it round, depending on the car, obviously.
Do you think that fear of putting down a wet coat comes from people using things like Future? Because if you flood that on...
it will run.
You're right.
Like
say true acrylics do run, isn't it? That's the trouble. Obviously the alcohol ones are better, but they still run. But lacquers tend to be sticky stuff, and stickier than the stick insect.
When you're spraying it, come off the model. So when you're going from side to side, you're not putting twice as much paint on the ends because you're going across it, rather than sort of like stopping on the end and then going back again. Otherwise, you end up with twice as much paint on the ends as you do in the middle, and it
that's where you get your problems and runs. Get your runs. But he's obviously on about satin and matte coats.
Yeah.
You're not going for a finish on them, are you?
Mm-hmm.
You're just going literally on a matte coat. You're going to matte your paint down.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a different technique of spraying it. And the same, I suppose, with satin. It depends again what you're spraying with a satin coat, but you've got to be careful with them because they can get glossy on you.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a knack again how to do it, into, you know what I mean? How to spray it so it don't go glossy on you, so you get the effect you want. So it's one of them things. Again, it's easier to show than explain. It's one of them where it's easier to show than explain because everybody will probably do it different anyway.
Yeah.
All of us will probably do it different.
We will have our own ways of doing it.
And ways of doing it to get to the same result.
Mm-hmm.
I think with gloss coating, there is one way of doing it. I don't think you can go round the houses but that's a different because you're going for a glossy finish. But whether, like I say, a satin or a matte coat, as long as you get the desired effect, you're always going to get a bit of texture. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think that's the difference, obviously, between a gloss coat, a satin, and a matte coat. If you've got a matte coat on, it is naturally textured because of the matting agent in it. Yeah. Same with a satin coat, you're going to get a slight texture in it. If you're going for a gloss coat, then you've got your high gloss finish.
Yes.
You kind of level and you get rid of the texture. Hence why it says gloss coat for decking, isn't it?
Yes.
And not over a matte coat.
Yeah.
So I think, obviously, like what we were saying last week about the questions, what we could actually show, that probably would be another good one again, because we do get asked about glossing and stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
You've watched, you've got your video on glossing, I've done my video on glossing. I don't know if we need to cover glossing again, because we've been over it, but probably satin coats and matte coats might not be a bad little demo thing to do, to be honest.
Yeah.
So,
but really, I would say have a look at, some of the ones that I've done with glosses as well, like the truck and things like that, the newer ones. And then obviously with Matt's with his Jag, if you have a look at those videos, see how we do it, and then go from there. So, But as I say, mats and stuff like that, yeah, there is a little bit of a thing. I know people obviously get sometimes the frosting effect, which is normally where you've just got too much. You're putting it on too heavy, and you end up with a frosty looking model. And that's where people just got way too much on there. And you don't need that much. But again, there's a bit of a knack to finding the balance to do it. So it's something that we could definitely, I think, demo and show satin finishes and, matte finishes as well. So.
Again, it's something I think you've got to do yourself as well to learn.
Yeah.
It's all right us telling you. It's one of their.
Let me just shut the door a sec.
I think it's something that you've got to do yourself and practice with it again. You can't stress it enough, really, that you've got to put some paint in your airbrush and give it a go on a buster or some. Obviously, don't go to your latest, greatest build and just see what works for you.
But yes, go to your buster, try it. But you're quite right. The only way you actually get good at it and understand it is to do it yourself. You can watch us do it a million times, but having your load out, your airbrush, how you've got it set up, things like that, and spraying it. And it's finding that sort of finesse to doing it, isn't it? Because like people often talk about satin finishes or semi-gloss finishes. That is anything between flat and gloss, isn't it? You can have some of them that are quite glossy, but they're very satin. You can get other ones which are actually, quite very much bordering on matte, but they're very, very smooth. Like technically this is a matte finish, but it's very smooth. It's incredibly smooth. It's more like a satin finish to touch it, but looking at it, it's dead flat. So again, there's different variables between texture of finish and the look of finish as well, i.e. because of the matting age in it and stuff like that. So, yes.
But it also varies with paint manufacturers as well.
Yeah.
Different paint manufacturers get different effects for satin, matte, and gloss. So it depends, like what you were saying earlier, whether you're an acrylic gloss coat or a lacquer one, or an enamel one for that matter. But I think definitely, in my experience, using an acrylic gloss, I think the acrylic matte coats are brilliant.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
It's really good. Satin coats can be a bit hit and miss, I think. But gloss coats are a nightmare because it just doesn't hold shine. You get more of a satin coat out of a gloss coat, to me.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's right.
Nothing to stop you if that's your thing from polishing it back up. You can polish them, but it's a bit more work, isn't it? So
yeah. Cool. But definitely something, we'll go a little bit more in depth in that one, I think, on one of our special type shows. So I think that would be a good one. Andy, stick that on a post-it note. Right, David says, hi guys, making the 48 scale Hellcat in Royal Navy colours. I'm using MIG chipping fluid for the first time. Base coat of LP11, 2 coats of MIG chipping, top coat of AK RC290 Sky. Chipping has gone well on the underside, started masking the top side, and the tape has pulled off the Sky paint. That's because it's got chipping underneath it. I tried again to put Hataka lacquer over the top, but still pulled off the paint. Is there a way of masking over chipping without it peeling off? That's the problem with chipping fluids. They are the gift that keeps giving.
They're meant to come off, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it. It's doing what it's supposed to do, as stupid as it sounds, but by masking over it and then you peel it off, it's doing exactly what it's designed to do. So that's the thing. Different types of chipping fluids, I don't know if they have a reaction time after maybe a few days. Do they go off? I don't know. I've never tried it. Especially the MIG one. The only one I've got up there is the AK one, I think it is. Is the Vallejo one.
And he said he used 2 coats of it as well, didn't he?
So yeah, that's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Dave, I think it's doing what it says on the tin. So I would say whatever you're masking, you want to paint first without the chipping agency, and then do it the other way. Then put your LP on, your chipping fluid with that mask then to protect it, because whatever it is, you need to do it the other way around, if that makes sense. Because chipping, again, some of them tend to be more oily almost than your traditional type ones. Because the Vallejo one, if you feel it, it feels very oily, almost like linseed oil. It's like a gel. When this one comes out, I show it in the overhead here, it actually comes out like a little, it's really thick. you know. And when you feel it, it feels like oil.
Does it put some in your hair? See if it goes
Well,
all sticky.
will it give it a nice shine? Andy? Gelling of my hair went years ago. But no, it's proper. I always think this feels like oil. You know, it doesn't feel like other people's chipping fluid, which I have felt in the past. And obviously, like, it is sticky as hell for ages. It doesn't just dry off. It's, yeah. So I think that's what it's doing, isn't it? It's giving still.
I'd be tempted just to use one coat of the chipping fluid and
yeah, it's definitely oily.
Give it a good couple of coats of gloss and let it dry for a good week before you sort of like mask it off and go on to your top. Or Royal Navy Hellcats never chipped on the underside.
Put a tarp on
the
it.
tops. So don't chip it on the underside.
The other thing as well you could do, if you use real colour with a bit of lacquer thinners, it'll make it a lot tougher.
Yeah.
So it won't chip as easy. When I did the live demo of it, I found that out. It's really hard to get it to chip. So yeah, as long as you haven't put it on too thick. But I think 2 coats might be a bit too much for it anyway. Maybe 1 coat rather than 2 coats of it, because some of them are like a lot stronger than others, aren't they? I don't know what theirs is like. Haven't tried it.
No, I've not.
No. Okay. Jan says, am I the right one? Yeah. Do any of you use a cup warmer? We had this the other day, didn't we? Keep your thing. Go on, get your cup warmers out, everyone. My one's still here because it's crap.
Mine's useless.
Mine's useless. I need one like Nathan's got, the baby warmer. There you go. Andy's got one now.
There's mine, look.
Yeah, mine. I've got hand warmers that are warmer than this. It's crap.
Yeah.
Mine's okay. This one's all right. This one.
Yeah. You can tell yours is all right because it's got a warning sign on it for heat.
Yeah, no, it does work. It
Yeah,
was just,
yours is one you actually plug in. I've got like a USB one.
Yeah, so it's mine. So it's only 5-volt, isn't it?
Yeah.
not much.
You need a plug-in one. But this is a baby bottle warmer. That's 15 quid off Amazon. And you can sort of set the different temperatures on it. And that's you got a big, obviously, amount of water in it. And they're fantastic. I mean, Nathan's used one for years, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And I'd say we probably had one when my lad was that age, but since he's going to university in a couple of weeks' time, he's not that age anymore, and I'm to buy one. But yeah, cool. Yeah, definitely worth for 15 quid, something like that off Amazon. Yeah, it's brilliant. They really are good.
So really, what you want? Don't do what me and John have done and have the cheapy things. Get a proper one that plugs in.
I've got one of those as well that you've got, and yeah, they don't keep it warm at all.
No. They're absolutely useless, I must admit. I don't even know why it's here. I'm going to bin it after this show. Right. Okay. So, okay, where are we? Okay. Lee says, hello team. Thanks for the Procon boy recommendation a couple of weeks ago. I bought one. It sprays like a dream. Just a quick question. I've only used my airbrush once or twice. Do I really need to strip it down everything? Or can I get away with a good flush out and a needle wipe? Good flush out and a needle wipe. I don't even take mine apart. I might do if I get. Did it turn up me needle nozzle set thing?
No.
Oh.
No, they got any in stock.
I wanted one as well, and I put them in. I put the order in, and yeah, it didn't come in.
John, remember that your clean-up job?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what made me do it because I've never stripped down my iWater or my Procon.
Mm-hmm.
But I did the other night when I was on with this lot. Just to give them a good clean out, and
they don't work now.
The horror stories about iWater that you can break the little nozzle thingy and stuff like that. I found it quite easy. It wasn't that bad at all.
Was it dirty in there?
There was some gunk in there, but not that I'd ever noticed it.
Because that's what I always think. Because the nozzle on these, the H&S one's really big, you get loads of crap in it. But because the one in the Procon is literally microscopic, how much crap can it be in it?
Yeah.
So that was my theory to the reason why it's so clean all the time. It just keeps going and going and going.
When I took the little nozzle off the front, and then I put one of those little thin, like tiny little bottle brush type things up through, and some gunk did come out, but I've never had an issue with spraying it.
Yeah.
And that's just like flushing thinners through it.
I've had mine for 2 years or 3 years now. I can't remember.
Pass.
A couple of years, isn't it? Don't know. And Phil even got it me. I can't remember when it was.
I bought it for him as a present. Oh, love you, mate. I paid for it. It's fine.
I've taken that apart twice. Once in its life, I've taken it apart.
I know, they are great. To be honest with you, I think the only time I ever took the nozzle off was when I got it brand new and I did the review on it, just to have a look. I don't think I've ever taken it off ever since. So
But then I suppose it depends what you spray. I only ever spray lacquers. It's just lacquer thinner goes through mine. I don't ever use acrylic, so whether that would make a difference, I don't know.
Yeah. I still maintain, I think, that the nozzle, because it's so small, it can't get dirty. It's just tiny, tiny little thing. Where that's the downside to the H&S one. The nozzle's so big, it fills up with junk. You know, because I've put a reamer in the H&S one and literally scooped it out. You know, there's so much in there, but never had that with the other one. Okay, so I would say a flush and a needle wipe, absolutely fine with that. It'd be no problem at all. Okay, very nice picture here. So we'll just show this one. Alan says, hello guys, I need a bit of guidance on how to go about the structure, structuring the heat staining effect on the stabilizers of this SU-35 flanker. I realise that it's probably nudging into the realms of fantasy, but I want to at least attempt to recreate something like this. John, you're a Russian expert. How'd you do that?
I've got no set way. I sort of seem to wing it every time I do it.
In fact, isn't that yours?
But yeah, I know the flanker I've got, I have actually got the Galaxy Models mask set for it. So you've got basically masks to spray all the metal areas around the engines and the tailplanes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I sort of, to be honest, I make it up as I'm going along. I have a photo and sort of have a general idea. And then use oil, sort of blue oil and stuff like that to just tone.
I think, you know,
bluish purpley tones.
I'll help him out a bit. But personally, if I was to do this, I would do these sections, as you can see them here, and all these ones I've done on here. I always do them in stainless steel because you get a natural blue hint with stainless steel anyway. Some manufacturers are stronger than others because the AK Extreme Metal one is actually quite bluey. But other people who do stainless steel, sometimes it's a little bit less. Another nice one, if you didn't want to use those, is the Super Metallics stainless steel. That's got a nice blue hue to it as well. And it's one of those ones where as you rotate it in the light, it catches it and will reflect blue. Other areas look quite metally and it's quite a subtle effect. As for all the other ones in there, then you're into the realms of going round with pale burnt metals. Which gives the goldy type look into these ones. It's just a normal way I do it. Again, you know, I've done it before with AK Extreme Metals do them as well. And then obviously they've got their, what's it called? I can't remember what it is now. Metallic blue. Yeah. Which is a really strong colour. So you have to be very, very light with it. But you can actually put the blue into these as well. So, but yeah, the metallic blue I've used as well. It's actually really strong, but if you use it in conjunction with other things, it's absolutely fine. But they do lots of heaty colours like the golds and the burns and all the different ones. But again, in reality, this is one of those things that the camera's caught it there and frozen it in time. Whereas in reality, as it would manoeuvre, the sheen to this and the colours would all change because it is what it is. It's heated and stressed metal. And they all tend to, different angles you see it tends to be different. It's a bit like the burner cans. This one looks black, this one's probably fully metal. Chances are from the other side it's the other way around. And again, same with these tails. It's not this one's deliberately blue and this one's over here is different. It's just where the light is catching it and how it's catching it and all the rest of it. But it's one of those ones go on, sorry, John.
I've got like the MRPs. They've got like pale burnt metal, exhaust metal, burnt metal violet, burnt metal blue. And with the MRPs, they're quite good because they're so thin. You can get that. It's not like a solid colour.
Yeah, because you want that translucent look
get that
coming
violet
through.
hint with it without totally covering the base colour.
I mean, like you said, the AK Extreme Metals, start with stainless steel, and you've got like burnt metal, pale burnt metal, jet exhaust, blue electric metallic. Sort of like by the time you've
there's loads of different ones. Because reality is, let's face it, there's probably a couple of hundred colours in that photo.
Yeah.
With all the different shades of it. So it depends on how far you want to go. When I've done things like these in the past, I just do it as a layering effect. We start off with stainless steel underneath because that's my go-to colour for that type of thing. And then it's just a case of then picking out some areas, masking. Next layer goes on, you mask that. Next layer, then hopefully when you peel it all off, you get something half decent. And then afterwards, I sometimes will give it a blow over with, like John was saying, with the heat effects as well. So like clear, blues, with reds and various things to try and put that sort of translucent heat color into metals and that. It's literally, I think it's so much trial and error because sometimes you do it and it just works really well. And other times you think, that hasn't exactly come out the way I wanted. And you end up keep going at it. And normally you end up with something half decent,
So there's even some bronze and brass in there as well.
Yeah, there's a bit of everything in there, isn't it? So, yeah.
At the end of the day, there's no two alike.
No, absolutely.
They'll all be different.
Yeah.
Some will look more, colourful than others.
Yeah. But like if you look at this wing, this tailplane over here, there's got to be probably a couple of hundred colours in that alone.
Yeah.
So, and again, it depends on how far you're going to go as a modeler to try and recreate it. When you're doing these engine ones, maybe you can get away with 10 different colours on here or something else like that. But you can see down here, you've got these blues down on these ones as well. And then you're moving up through the pales and the burnt metals and all the rest of it. More blue here, heated blue in here and all the rest of it, just in these very small areas. And again, it's all down to scale effect, isn't it? At the end of the day, you've got that situation where you're trying to recreate something that, realistically is 12, 15 feet long by 2-3 feet across. So to try and do that when you're down to, a centimetre, to get all of that detail in, something has to give. You can't do it on a one-to-one scale for that type of effect. So, you're trying to do your best with obviously airbrush, masking, as you were saying, down in there and doing all these things to try and get it all into that much information and differences into a tiny area. So, again, it's that thing. I would probably scale it down to maybe using 10 colours if you wanted to like that and then going from there. And again, it's a bit of trial and error, but like we said, there's no two the same.
It also depends on you. Depends on your skill level as well, because that has got pretty much the right colours in it. And if you just want to use that and go on with a Q-tip or something and so on, colour bits in and blend them in, and it works, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Okay, Paul says, "Evening, gents. Hope you're all keeping well. As a purveyor of a hairy stick, steady. I use Tamiya acrylic retarder to cover for my sins, but it seems to be a short supply through eBay import channels. Do you know of the lacquer retarder will have the same effect on X and XF range? Don't ask me why. I brush paint these, but it seems to work okay. Well, if it works for you, I don't know. Matt, do we know anything about normal retarder?
The lacquer retarder works with the XF range because I've tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if there is a difference.
Yeah, it would.
It would. You don't forget, if you're thinking about certain retarders, other manufacturers do them. Like Vallejo do the retarder, which is that one. Which number is just off the top, 70597. But also Art Supplies do them. So
Yeah, Windsor and Newton.
we've got Windsor and Newton, got the flow improver one there, which is basically a retarder.
The layout one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one I was just saying. Yeah.
There's loads, isn't there? There's
So
loads
there
of
is other options apart from like Tamiya and stuff. So, and I don't think they're in short supply because normally art shops sell tons of them.
And here's one you could have had.
There's one could have had, which I had off of Andy. Andy gave me one. Look, there's mine.
Yeah, but Kira, you never use it.
I don't use mine all the time.
I used it the other week.
When?
I was
If I'm hand brushing any Tamiya at all, I use it all the time. But literally, I just use a drop. I put my blunt end of the paintbrush in it, handle end, one drop into, say, a lid of Tamiya, and I use it all the time. Seriously.
You need to get a wet palette. That's what you
I
need.
need to have got Tamiya retarder.
yeah, got gallons of it. But I'm halfway through that bottle there from when I used to do all my acrylic stuff. So
The problem is, if you drop it on lacquer paint, it takes lacquer paint off.
Does it?
Is it like a paint stripper?
Yeah.
Is
Does
it?
that mean it's lacquer based then?
Which makes you wonder whether or not it's the same as the other one,
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking.
Just drop a bit on that plane behind you and see how much badly it strips it.
Yeah, tell you what, put
Like
it right on
demo.
the cross.
Yeah, right on that bit you touched up. John's got his out as well.
Oh.
You got some, John?
Yeah.
Which one have you got?
It's amazing it's not available, but everyone's got it.
Yeah,
None of us use it.
I haven't actually got any.
It does say don't sniff, but
Does it? Oh, right. Okay. What does it taste like, John?
There
don't
you
really
go.
smell it much.
No?
No.
There you go. I've got the AK one,
Oh, there you go.
which we sell in the shop.
Oh, actually, I need to put them in the shop.
You
I'm
put
doing about 6.
The AK retarded. Good stuff, actually, this is.
So there you go. If you want some of that, you get the AK one.
Acrylic drying retarder.
It
There you go.
contains organic solvents.
Contains cider.
Don't tell me it's got that vinegar stuff I've got down here because that's in everything apparently.
Better not have.
Okay, also Phil mentioned on Tuesday's blog, no, it's Wednesday's blog actually, about the challenges with the HK Lank. Can you explain? It's not, you've taken it completely the wrong way. What me and Matt were discussing, because Matt's got the front end of his, that the locating tabs and that are quite chunky, but they're not a problem because actually it holds everything. Like Matt had his cockpit fully mocked up, didn't you? And he's showing it, but
Yeah,
none of
does,
it was
yeah.
glued because it all holds itself together, which is quite handy. But all I was pointing out, I can't speak for the 30-second stuff, but on the 48 scale stuff that I've done, like I did the B17, a lot of people were complaining about fit issues and gaps and needing filler. I never used any. And I was just saying that I think it's the thing, because it's got very large, chunky points for putting things together, like the wings go in and stuff like that. If you don't seat them in there properly and get them all put in and lined up, you will have fit issues. But I wouldn't say it's a problem. I think it's more a case of user error. Because I had it with the wings. You know, you do this thing and you put the engines in there and you like squeeze it and there's a tiny little gap. And I was like, this is just the way. I'm like, and it clicked, no gap. No glue required either. It held the entire wing section together. And then also, when I fitted it to the fuselage, it was a perfect fit. Yet when I tried it before, it fought me just to try and get the wing on. And that's because I didn't have it properly locked down and in together. So that's all I was saying about it. I wouldn't say it was a problem with it. It's one of those things where you just need to make sure everything is fitted and lined up correctly and you won't have any problems with it.
Yeah.
And you can hang it on the wall because that's the best place for it.
David's asking in the chat is why isn't this available in the UK? Who knows? Because we can get the lacquer one.
Yeah.
It can't be down to labelling because the labels are probably the same size and everything on both. So
Don't know.
it does say it's flammable as well.
Does it? So that would explain why it's melting through lacquer paint then.
Yeah.
This was not flammable, but mind you, that's technically for alcohol-based.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
If we're going down that road, because this is obviously the proper pure acrylic water-based, you know what I mean? So it does make you wonder about the lacquer one. Why
Yes.
don't you see if your light blue turquoisey top works in lacquer paint? I know the dark blue one, the lacquer one, works in XF. I've tried it. I know that for a fact. See if it works the other way around, because like you said, could be the same product with a different cap on it.
Yeah.
Thanks again for all you do. Yeah, well, that's all stuff about the other one. Sorry about the RAM. No problem at all. Right, okay. So, clearly, some of these questions may be going over till tomorrow at this rate. Krista says, hi guys, never had this strange pollution or dirt on any decals before. The decals are from Skyhot, and they are out of production, so this is my only option. So this does look like they've gone mouldy. Has anybody ever had decals go mouldy before? Because that's definitely something growing on the surface, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a pessary dish, isn't it?
Mould.
Gone mouldy.
Need to stick them in some detergent.
Put them through a dishwasher. No, funny enough, it's funny you mentioned that. I've got them. Here, let's see if mine have gone mouldy. See if this is a thing. Don't want to open the bag now because it's still sealed, mine. Hold on. But yeah, I've got in half. Oh, I'll put the camera on us. Just to see, because I've got them as well. So I want to know if mine have gone mouldy. See if it's an age thing with them. Nope, we're right on that one. Nope, we're right on that one. It's funny because it does look like there is something on them, but it's not. I'll show you on my overhead. I wouldn't say mine are nowhere like yours, but I have got. It looks like there is something. I'll catch it. Don't know. It looks maybe like the start of what yours has done, but to be honest, I don't know. Perhaps not. Perhaps I'm just imagining it, but don't
What's
know.
it for?
Oh, it's a special scheme that they did. It's an anniversary scheme.
Yeah, but what aircraft is it
Oh, it's
for?
Super Hornet.
Oh, well, if you're going mouldy, you better build a Super Hornet and put one.
If only I had one. Oh, I have. So
Hey, you could do it for your main one.
I could, yes.
There you go, then. There's your next build. You've sorted yourself out.
That's it. I've just sold myself.
You have.
So I think. Oh, we can get these back in here.
John got Sky Art decals from Mawson, didn't you, John?
Yeah, I'm just having a look.
See if it's a mouldy.
Hey?
See if it. Sky Art are French, aren't they?
Couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Can't
I
remember.
think I bought some as well for the MiG-21.
MiG-21. What are yours for, John? Are you on the MiG-21?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was that special one, wasn't it, with the splintery scheme in it?
yeah.
You got the same as me,
They're
John?
all right. They're okay.
Digital camo.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. It was on a special, wasn't it? That's why you bought it.
Yeah,
So no, I can't say mine have done it, but looking at it, it does look like something on there. But if it has got something growing on it, surely when it's in hot water, or warm water, I should say, it'll probably
Yes.
just wipe off, I would have thought.
Yeah, kill it.
It'll probably kill it.
If a
Yeah.
very-
Failing that, get the bleach out.
I wonder if a very diluted white vinegar white vinegar and water might be just,
Distilled vinegar. That's what you need. It's the future. I use it for everything.
yeah, I won't go for
Then
Matt
it
would love this.
works.
If you ever want to get rid of Matt, just squirt it at his feet. It's his kryptonite. Bottle of vinegar.
is when I'm sat there in the office eating a bag of salt vinegar crisps.
If you're worried about your pint in the pub, just ring it with this.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't, right, so the thing is, he's saying that he's tried to wash it off with water with no luck. He's actually sanded it with a blue sander. I'm wondering if it is something in the decal then that's actually properly growing into the decal, but it definitely looks like something's growing in it. It's not COVID, is it? No, it's not spiky. It's not smiling. So, yes. I would have thought, though, by the time perhaps it's had a coat or something over it, might seal it in it, but it might just gloss it out.
Just think you've got pre-weathered decals.
Yeah. You could pretend it's a frosty day. It's got frost on it.
Yeah, and then just mess up your mat coat as well.
Yeah. See, it doesn't look too bad there when you put that decal on the tailplane. It can't really see it in there. I think I'll just push on with it and worry about it. But it's certainly fun putting that lot on, isn't it? Definitely. Okay, Dennis says, question refers to Monday's show. You were using the 3D decal. Everyone's got their days mixed up. It's Tuesday, that was. And the harnesses. Why did the Zero use only one shoulder strap and the extra belt that seems to go up around one leg, ending up between the legs? That's just how I wrapped it up and chucked it in, because normally I'm sure it would probably be on the floor and they pull it up.
Considering they didn't put any armour in the Zero, I don't think they were particularly that.
Yeah, it didn't have self-sealing fuel tanks either. So it's a wonder, to be honest, it's even got a bloody harness. So yeah, but again, this is one of those things that it trips a lot of people up. It's a bit like the V-17s. The decal, the harnesses come with shoulder harnesses. Well, in World War II, they didn't have shoulder harnesses. I don't think they were around then. They just used to have lap belts. That's all they had. So they were put in post-war for shoulder harnesses. So yeah, but don't know. I think what it does, that one actually comes from the seat. It's on this side. I think it actually comes across the pilot, literally like a 3-point seat belt on a car. So he's got a big lap belt that comes across. Then he has this one that comes over here. But don't know.
Health and safety was an afterthought when you're getting shot at.
Definitely. P.S. You also mentioned that you're going to have another member-only video below the Monday. Yeah, you're getting confused. It wasn't Dennis Monday, it was Tuesday, and there was a members-only one below the Tuesday show. So that's what we're on about. It wasn't Monday, it was Tuesday. Zero, it's looking great. Thank you. Andrew says, hello team. I'm looking into the possibility of mixing and spraying Tamil panel liner 40ml bottles. Can you spray that stuff?
I suppose you can. It's enamel, isn't it? Just an enamel.
Why would you though? I recognise that these are enamels, however, they are mixable and sprayable. Do I need to thin them? Has anyone tried this?
No,
we can't get them, can we?
We can't get it, so no, we've definitely not tried it.
I've banned them in Britain.
Yeah. Part of Phil's master plan.
Yeah, it's part of my master plan. I slip people cash and they don't allow the product in the country. But no, I've only ever used it once. We had one of the guys here and he brought some along and I've never used it, and I saw it and it just looked like very thin enamel paint to me. It's pretty thin, didn't it? So I don't think you probably even have to thin it. I think it could just go away, but I don't know why you'd want to spray it, because it is, I think, literally designed for what it does, which is like a panel line wash. I suppose if you wanted to do exhaust staining and that, you could do, but be careful. It is an enamel, so it's going to stick.
Post shading
with it, but it's sticky stuff for that. Don't forget, it's not like oils where you can just wipe it off and, you know, make up an oil wash or something else like that. It's sticky stuff, that. Most people I know compare it to mine, always say they've had a nightmare with that and now use mine. So, just saying. David says, hello masters of the modelling building craft. Is it the best to use the same brand of debonder as CA glue that was used to attach the part? Also, what is the risk of the debonder having adverse effects to the plastic itself? John, you're an expert on this now.
I've just got this Vital debonder. Vital Bond debonder.
Yes.
And I use that with the old Loctite gel glue. Works fine.
CA glues CA glue, isn't it? Apart from some of them have.
All that is acetone.
Yeah.
That's basically acetone. That's it.
Yeah. So I imagine all the debonders are the same, apart from Vital Bond that Phil has. Oh, that's for the hardener. some of them can frost and cause problems with your paint. But I don't think any of the
Debonders do.
bonders do. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, really,
the kickers can cause frosting of some manufacturers of it.
Yeah.
But as for those, I don't think they're a
Yeah,
problem.
that's it's just acetone, isn't it?
But-
Strip paint. If it's strip paintwork, if you put it on your
Yeah,
paint.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you've painted a cockpit and you've put down a bit on there and you want to wipe it off, if you rub it, you'll take the paint off. Because it is, like John says, I think it's acetone because it's, universal stuff and they just put their own thing on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yes. But no, it shouldn't matter which one you use. Just be careful when you are rubbing away. It's best to do it over not painted areas. David says, hello all. Good to see you all looking after yourselves this week. Have you looked at the possibility of going to Telford this year? I've had both jabs, so I'm definitely thinking about going. Face mask and alcohol, hands gel at the ready. As far as we know,
we'll be in the area.
we'll be in the area. We'll be at Ironbridge.
We'll be in Cosford. We'll be in Cosford.
Yeah, we'll be in Cosford. Flogging wares from the back of the car.
I have the IPMS magazine this week. Okay.
So I've not read it.
And it says in there it's the same as last year. They've got no payments to make until the beginning of September, so they will make a decision late August.
Yeah.
I think one of the issues also is with Telford is that they're using the centre as a COVID vaccination place, aren't they?
Mm.
So if they're still doing vaccinations and then potentially the hole's going to
Get your jab at the same time.
Oh yeah,
That's it,
I've
yeah.
had both of mine.
Yeah, you could go get your top up jab.
Get
We've
your
got
top
the
up, yeah, but you
jab.
might need your booster by then.
Two enough.
Yeah, November we'll be having boosters.
You'll be having
Won't we?
boosters by then.
Feeling ill again.
Yeah, another day of being poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as we're concerned, from a business point of view, we've already paid for it 2 years ago. So whenever they have it on, we will be there. So if it's on, we'll be there in one shape or form or the other, even if we're just sat behind this 36-foot stand, socially
Waving.
distanced, waving. No stock, no nothing. Just literally, we'll take some black cloths and lay them out.
Yeah.
And we'll do it that way. So, but yeah, in one form or the other, if it's on, obviously we will be there. If it's not, then we'll see you in 2022.
we have talked about it very recently, haven't we? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We've got our screens ordered, haven't we?
yes, that's it. We've got 36 foot of plastic. It's gonna be like a zoo.
black plastic.
Yeah, it's black. It's solid. But yes, so I don't know. Like we said before, it's good. I reckon it'll just be like last year. We're not going to know anything until probably September, October time, and then obviously a decision will be made. To be honest, talking about that, the big place I had my jab done, they've now closed it for COVID because they're reopening it for everything. So they've moved us now to an industrial estate up the road because we used to have ours at West Point in Exeter, which is huge, and because they want to have it back for doing shows and stuff. They've moved them out, so
No, you'll be
so
an
maybe
Asda
something.
car park.
No,
You'll be in an Asda car park. or
probably, yeah. So yes, but yeah, we will see what happens at the end of the day. As you said, if it's on, we'll be there. If it's not, then obviously we'll be doing things different. So, but last year was all right with our special Telford show. Went very well.
something. It did.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Actually, it was great.
Yeah.
Okay, Clive says, hi Phil and team, just wanted to say that I recently bought the Procon 270. Perhaps I've been brainwashed over the last year. What, have we mentioned it once or twice? I've been using the H&S Infinity CR Plus. I followed your old tutorials on how to use it with Tamiya acrylics and Model Air. I then joined the forum and saw that you'd moved over to Hadaka lacquers. And at which point I thought I had a good setup until now. Oh my God, what a difference a new airbrush makes. With the 270, I finally feel able to paint tight freehand modelling at 1/72 scale, something that seemed almost impossible to do with the H&S airbrush. This made me curious about where your first impressions were switching from the H&S to the Procon Boy. Nathan's not here, so we have to defer that one. We'll ask him that tomorrow. But basically saying, I've seen the recent modelling video that used the same HNS and was wondering if you've ever tried a Pro Convoy. Again, I think if you've only used an HNS airbrush and then you go to a Pro Convoy, it's the trigger. The trigger is totally different on both airbrushes. But if you've ever used an Iwata airbrush, the trigger is the same, because we know that Pro Convoy is technically an Iwata airbrush. So it's one of those things. If you're used to the very long, smooth movement that you get on an Iwata, the German-made HNS one is a lot shorter pull. So it feels a little bit alien. So if you're more of a finer detail painter, shall we say, I always say you get a lot more control over Iwata airbrushes and things like that. But again, just to be balanced in a review here, like I said before, living with an HNS airbrush is a lot easier than living with an Iwata airbrush, purely for cleaning outs and things and getting spares, it seems, and all stuff like that. Okay, but if I had to use an airbrush, as I do, I use the Procon because I really like it. It does everything I need it to do. And the big thing is, and it's money at the end of the day, it's half the price of the Infinity airbrush. And I think it's a far superior airbrush. And to be honest with you, when I first started using it, I thought probably going to get a year out of this thing and then it's going to start playing up. But, we're into year 4 or 5 now on this one and it's absolutely fine. So I really, really can't fault it.
I find it seems to atomize the paint better as well.
It's
like a finer, you can still put a lot of paint down, but it seems to be a finer spray.
Yeah.
So if you try and do tight things, you sort of like not getting, I mean, all paint's like dots into it, but it seems to be finer little dots, rather than bigger dots. I know,
Yeah.
Sounds, but yeah, it definitely seems to atomize the paint better.
But it is. I've always maintained that I think from a use point of view, I prefer Iwata airbrushes over HNS, but using an HNS airbrush the way I used to, especially with acrylics, of having to clean them out all the time and dismantling them, putting them back together and away you go. And say lacquers, because they eat themselves all the time, they tend to self-clean almost, where obviously acrylics, you don't do that. So it takes a little bit more to clean them out and keep them going and everything. I would have an HNS for that. But with lacquers, it's fine. Like, I'm really bad. Like, I've been building this one for the last 2 weeks, really, and I leave my airbrush loaded with paint for a couple of days and just leave it. And then all I do is put a couple of drops of thinners in it and mix it out and carry on. Can't do that with acrylics. It'd just be an absolute nightmare, but it works. It's fine because you get a nice little seal where the paint dries on the top, but it melts it, eats itself, and you can carry on spraying it. So definitely.
We're going to do one more question and then save the rest for next week?
Yes. What, the really long one? Okay.
You do it in 3 minutes.
Okay. Aid says, okay, modeling question. I'll paraphrase a little bit. Scale model phobia. Phil, I've been watching Phil build his 30-second scale 0. Amazing job on the engine, by the way. And it's got me thinking, as a kid, I mainly built 70-second scale models. I suppose they were all I could afford. Did have a go at a couple of 48 scale monogram kits and a 30-second scale sea venom, which I got for one Christmas as a present. And I think the Mojo has never completed them. Since returning to the hobby, I've amassed a stash with a large portion of 70-second scale kits. Also, a reasonable number of 48 scale and a couple of 30-second scale, which with middle-aged fingers, eyes, wallet, it makes sense on the larger scales. But so far, and despite my best intentions, have shied away from the anything larger than a 70-second. I tell myself that I can perfect my modelling skills before tackling a more expensive kits in my stash and do them justice. I suppose it's because I think building larger scales will expose flaws in my modelling skills and might kill my mojo and end up as unfinished. As you and the team can give me any advice and tips on how to approach the larger scales, what to look out for, how techniques might differ, and how can I maintain my mojo through what is likely a longer, more detailed build? Many thanks.
I'll answer this.
Yes.
Thank you for watching tonight's show. And we'll answer this question tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Well, look, we can carry it on. We'll do a rough version and we'll follow it up tomorrow. You know, at the end of the day, often a lot of people, they come into the hobby and the thing I hear most of all is that I've got some big 30-second Tamiya ones, but I want to start on the smaller kits and these older kits first. And my theory to this is that, so what you're saying is you've got a really nice kit that will probably go together with no problems, but you want to struggle with a 1970s kit that probably is going to fight you all the way. So, you know, it is that little thing. Like I've spoken about it with this build. I speak about it with most of the Tamiya builds, and to be honest, the more expensive kits, that you are paying for that level. So they tend to go together really, really well. Also, you might have, like if you've been following along with this build, you'll notice how the instructions are laid out. They're very clear, they're very concise, and they're easier to follow because there's more of them rather than some other manufacturers, and you get one picture of how to put that engine together with lots of arrows doing this and colours. Tamiya take the time and take you through it all the way and tell you what to do and where to put it and what colour to paint it. So again, it makes it an easier build. I understand your point about bigger thing, you're going to see all your flaws and everything else in there. So again, it's one of those things of getting the basics done first, understanding gluing, understanding, taking your time of cleaning up your parts before you put them together, test fitting, dry fitting, because obviously a few moments spent there making sure you got a good meet and it goes together well, so there's no little tabs in the way or anything fouling to get the joins right, saves you putting filler in. Okay, but then if you do put filler in, it's understanding shrinkage, allowing time for it, sanding it without generating too much heat, and then obviously learning to put all the details back in. So what you basically need is basic modeling skills will get you through any scale, you know, but then obviously you're into things like weathering and stuff like that. But I think in sometimes it's easier to weather and paint a 30-second scale model than it is a 70-second scale model, because you've got all of those, we were saying about the engine, big area, it's easier to paint it in real scale than it is in a small scale, because you've got to put all of those details into a far smaller part. Sometimes it's easier with a bigger part. So, you know, I don't think there's any sort of right or wrong answer to this one. It just depends on how you want to tackle the build and how you see yourself. But you need to get the basics down first. And you can learn that on older, cheaper kits, for instance. Just things like gluing, sanding, filling, getting them down packed, then a little bit of rescribing, just put the detail back in you may have lost, and things like that. You know, and then like we spoke about earlier, paint coats, getting them nice and smooth, understanding your airbrush and putting those down. Because then when you do come along to the big stuff, it will be easy. You know, it literally is so easy working on the big stuff than it is the little stuff. Like I've maintained, you know, I put together a 30-second scale kit, no problem at all. You want me to do 70-second and 144, I have to think about it. Because you have to allow for certain things.
Don't you think that this is what we discussed on a Friday show of the fear of failure?
Yes. Yes.
What at the end of the day have you got to lose from doing it?
Yes.
You know,
100%.
You're going to learn something from it, and you can always repaint it. You can always start again. Like I've gone back to this figure that I've painted God knows how many times because I weren't happy with the skin tones. And I think it's mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course it is.
Well, the only way you're ever going to get better is to build stuff. You know, and it doesn't matter if you're the best modeler in the world, you'll make mistakes on a kit. You know, Phil, you probably make enough mistakes, don't you?
Absolutely. We said about it the other day. There's no such thing as a perfect kit out there. I know where all of my flaws are. Every single time. I can tell you where there's every sink mark, every fingerprint.
You're your own worst critic, aren't you?
Yeah.
Other people that come along and look at what you've done and say that's brilliant. But you know where every little error is.
And again, we're talking about this thing as well, aren't we? We've said about it. Us as modelers, we're this far away from your model and looking at it under a microscope, especially if you've got magnifiers on and you can see all of those things that are wrong with it. Normal people don't look that close. They look at it across the room and go, oh, that's a nice model. You know, or it's in your display cabinet, they'll go up to it and go, oh, that's a nice model, because they're not looking that close. But when you're up onto it, you'll be your worst critic, because you will see that, oh, tiny little seam line, wish I'd done that. Or there's something underneath it where no one's going to look. But, you know there's a dodgy thing somewhere underneath there or someone else like that, you know. So, you know, and it's one of those things. As long as you learn something as you're making your way along from it, then you know you're doing it right, you know.
I've been there. I mean, I've been that modeler that never actually builds anything because you're terrified of messing it up.
Yeah.
Theoretical modelling.
Yes.
Theoretical model, yeah. But as for Mojo, there's no secret on how to keep your Mojo going. I mean, like Phil has to dig through it to keep the continuity of the videos because he can't just then stop to do something else. Myself, I'm stuck on doing this Arado, which is 99.9% finished, but for some reason I come in here every night and end up on talking to these guys and end up on the internet looking at stuff. John's talking about starting another kit because you're in a bit of a dig with your Super Saiyan, aren't you?
Well, no, it's what I meant. I didn't. I want to get the Anzac build done.
Yeah, we don't want to mess that one up by rushing.
I don't want to mess my saber up by rushing it. But with this, I mean, I've got this big lump here, but at no point during this have I really felt, I want to put it to one side and start anything else. I've been quite happy going on with it. But my only issue is that I still don't think I'm going to get it done in time.
Yeah.
So whether to put it on the back burner and take me time with it.
Well, that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with just putting it on the back burner.
No.
It mainly build 7-second, go on 7-second for a couple of weeks, then come back to your 30-second kit and carry on.
I always do it with big kits. I have to walk away.
You're not being funny. Matt's helicopter behind him. He's been working on that for how long?
Exactly.
Years.
How's Lancaster cockpit coming on?
Slowly, but it's coming along.
Yeah, give it a chance. He's only been on that for 2 weeks. That par he's been doing since PM.
Tell me start to paint another figure today.
Yeah, that's it. But it's true though. Like I've always said, isn't it? The big thing I've always said is literally, if you've got that point where you're coming into your modelling room for those few precious hours that you've got of an evening or during the day or whenever, and you dread it, do not build that kit. Put it in its box. Keep all the parts. Put it away to one side and start something else. Because there's nothing worse when you're coming in and thinking, shit, I've got to finish that. You don't. It's a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. Unless you're on commission job and you're on a timeline and all the rest of it, then obviously it's different. But most people do it as a hobby and as fun. So keep it fun. And it may be that thing where you might think, do you know what? I'm going to have another go at that. And even if you just did a little bit more to it and you did a little bit more, after a couple of years, you'll get it finished and it'll be, done it. But in the meantime, you've built a load of other models you really enjoyed as well. So don't be sort of put off by it. There's nothing worse than getting killed on your mojo because you're stuck on a model which you hate. As I say, most of us have got a stash of more than one, which means you've got to back up.
I think there is a danger if you just concentrate on doing small, less complicated kits. You tend to rattle through them a lot quicker and not worry about the mistakes and stuff. If you do a big kit, you're gonna take your time on it, and be a bit more detailed and careful with it.
The thing is, though, if he's never built one, how does he know he's not going to enjoy it when he starts it?
This is it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, it's going to that thing of what you got to lose. Well, you haven't got anything. Just start the kit and see how it goes. It might go swimmingly and be the best thing ever.
The thing is, a lot of people say about having these big expensive kits, like the Tamiya one, you say over 100 quid for a kit. It is an incredible lot of money. But if let's face it, most people now of a certain age and money's like, well, it's not like as tight as it used to be. Kids have left over and all the rest of it. You treat yourself to something like that because you're going to have a fun build over a few months and away you go, isn't it? Building it. And as I said before, if you do it by the hourly rate, they're still a very cheap hobby. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's nice to test yourself on something that's a bit of a dog, something like a limited run kit, something else like that. So you can get your teeth into it, and then you sit back and have a real sense of achievement and think, yeah, nailed that. Love that. Came out all right in the end after a lot of hassle and worry, and the kit might not be expensive, but sometimes it's actually to sit back and people say to me, how's it going together? And I just say, it's Tamiya, isn't it? Because everyone knows Tamiya just goes together really, really well. You're paying a price for that, but then that's what you're paying for, So yes, there is other versions, not as detailed and probably don't go together as well, but that's what you're paying for. You pays your money, you take your choice, don't you?
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, very good. Right, well, what we'll do is I will thumb that, and I know we're up to for tomorrow, and we'll follow the questions on for tomorrow because we did have a load this week. as we make our way through. So well done, everybody. Thank you for all the questions. Been absolutely fantastic. We'll be on then tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. So if you want to join us for that one as well, I know the PM guys will probably get in some specials sorted. Have we got specials for tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes, there will be.
So we've got some specials coming up then. We'll take you a run through those ones as well, so you can grab yourself a bargain at the weekend and things like that. And I might have something to show as well, something special that we haven't seen for a while. So I'll have that up as well, live on the show as well. Don't get too excited, it's not that good. So yes, but anyway, thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's an absolute pleasure. We will see you obviously tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and obviously get the next part, which does cover, it's the extended full version of what you would have seen on Tuesday with the seat belts for the Zero, and then hopefully I'll get on with that and you'll get weathering his.
Yeah.
Matt will be painting busts, literally. John will be playing with photo etch still. But we will be back next week as well to see you all as well. So till later, everybody, happy modelling, take care. We will see you all again very, very soon. Say good night, gentlemen. We are out of here.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.